What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Never Sleeps podcast. I am your host tonight, Mr. H, and I am joined by my tag team partner all the way in the snowy West Virginia mountains, Coach Liller. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. You said it. It's snowy, cold. I'm ready for some rumble.
And we are joined by a special guest. I guess you could say a guy who put me on to the whole wrestling podcast. From the Jawu family, the Jawu Wrestling Group.
Wait a minute. I want you to say it right. It's Jawu.
I'm sorry. The Jaw. I'm sorry. I apologize. The Jaw.
Acknowledge him correctly.
I apologize. It is the Jaw U
Rise Up Family.
The Jaw U Wrestling Podcast, the Rise Up Family, the fire starter himself. What is going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? It's just a blessing to be around positivity and coach, man. I already getting great vibes from the coach. You know, he let me get a funeral procession for a certain one Ben Roethlisberger before the show.
Yeah, before we went live, I got a little gut punch, but it's all good.
He gave Ben Roethlisberger the Undertaker.
Right, gave him the Undertaker, eulogy and all that good stuff. But yes, it's always a blessing, man. And the original Yelper, my guy right here, Tyrell, what's going on, man?
Chilling, man, chilling. We about to do this.
I'm here for the fun. I'm here for the fun.
Oh, and that is what we're gonna have on this otherwise nasty Martin Luther King weekend. But wrestling fans, we are going to have fun. We are going to talk about wrestling, and we're going to talk about the 1992 Royal Rumble. We're going to do a watch along from the Royal Rumble. So, Coach, take it away. Tell me what did you think about the Rumble? Tell me some notes that you got. Just discuss. Tell me what you got.
Well, since it's been a while since any of us really watched this, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that was going on storyline-wise. I'll let you guys react to that if you want to.
Go ahead.
And we'll go down through the card. And then once we get to the Rumble, we'll go live.
Yes, sir.
We'll watch along. If you remember, way back in 92, we had Ric Flair come in with the gold that is on your shoulder, right? Came over from the WCW with that and that whole storyline. But by the time we got to the Royal Rumble, January 92, we had a kind of a thing going on with Hogan, Undertaker, and Ric Flair. So during this feud leading into the Rumble, Jack Tunney, who was kind of like the general manager back in the day, right? He decided that he was tired of them three feuding, and he was going to vacate the title, and it was going to be decided in the Royal Rumble match. And with that, he gave Undertaker and Hogan the guarantee of you're going to be able to draw anywhere from entry 20 to 30, but Ric Flair wasn't so lucky. A little bit of foreshadowing there.
You know what's crazy? Back then you realized this was the most star-studded Rumble at the time.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
the amount of star power, the Hall of Famers that are in this Royal Rumble is incredible. Like just the talent. I mean, rest in peace to a lot of the talent that are no longer with us that was in this Rumble as well. But the amount of talent in this Rumble is just unmatched. So yes, definitely.
So many iconic moments that we as wrestling fans know and we see played on highlight reels all the time. As far as the post Rumble interview, which we'll get to obviously later, and storylines leading into this. The fact that the title was on the line in the Rumble, the fact that this was right after the Rockers broke up, which of course is when Shawn Michaels threw Marty Jannetty through the glass on the barbershop
window,
right? And then we also had, like you said, the most star-studded Rumble in history. So very.
And I feel that this is one of those Rumbles where you realize, as a fan growing up, for me, as I got older, I started to realize what a heel Hogan was.
Right.
And we'll get to that as we get towards in the Rumble, but you'll see what I mean when we get to that certain point. Because, he did a lot of heelish tactics as a babyface that I think in the 90s, a lot of us overlooked because we were young. Some of us were young Hulkamanians. I was more of an Ultimate Warrior fan, but if you really pay attention to it, he did a lot of things. To me, I feel like he was more of a crybaby than anything. Royal Rumble 92, WrestleMania 4, for some examples. But he really did come off as a crybaby. And as I got older, I kind of understood why Bobby Heenan hated him so much.
And the more stories you hear, the more of the politicking and it doesn't work for me, brother.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
Right. You take them with a grain of salt, but so many people share these stories that it's hard not to look into it a little bit and think that that's kind of how it was.
Mm-hmm. You want to run? Do you have the notes for the match cards?
I do. Let's see here. We start out with the New Foundation versus the Orient Express. You guys remember anything from this? You need me to run down a little bit of what was going on?
Was that with Kato and Tanaka?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the New Foundation, of course, Owen Hart and Jim Knightville, the Anvil.
Okay. Yeah. I really didn't care for the New Foundation. I really don't care for teams that are remade from original ones. Like, I know you couldn't. Oh, Firestarter, you're on mute. You got to take yourself off mute. Oh, okay. Just wondering. All right. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, New Foundation, a remake of the Hart Foundation, but sometimes you can't recreate. Like the New Rockers was never going to succeed based off of what the original Rockers did.
Well, the New Foundation looked like the Rockers. They look like the MC Hammer if he worked as a taxi driver.
Yeah,
so
and then
this crazy looking attire.
And then wasn't High Energy almost like a remake of the New Foundation? Right? So yeah, so it's like it's like I said, I'm not a big fan of these remade tag teams under the same name.
But needless to say, they didn't last long. This was around the time Owen Hart had just come back from New Japan, and he was in WCW for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and he came back under his name rather than being the Blue Blazer. So this was kind of a turning of a leaf for him, but it wasn't long until the Anvil got fired and saw his way out. So that might have been a blessing in disguise for Owen Hart in the end here.
I'm pretty sure he surely ended up in WCW after, right?
Anvil?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. What else you got?
For me, I actually watched this just a few minutes ago. This was a good opening match. It had a good pace. It had a good story. It went pretty long. It went about 18 minutes. We had just your traditional wrestling tag team style for back in the day, right? You had cutoffs and you had the heels trying to keep the baby faces from tagging in, and just your traditional pacing there. But in the end, the New Foundation came out victorious. I guess their newfound push.
Can I ask you a real question? I want to know, what was your match prediction like? What was your actual prediction
during that time?
Match? Who did you think was going to win? Yeah, I know it's 92 and we might have been young, but watching it, what was your prediction?
You want me to give you a match prediction like I never saw it if I was a kid or now?
As a kid and now.
Okay, so as a kid, I probably would have said the New Foundation. As a now, if I would have known it now, I probably would have said that the New Orient Express probably would have won, and I probably would have been shocked that they lost the match.
Why is that?
Because I feel like in situations like those, I feel like an Orient Express being an established team at the time and the New Foundation being a team that was just on the rise, I would have figured that somehow, because they have Fuji too, right?
Yeah, and he got involved, but you also need to remember that this wasn't the first time that they had tag teamed either. They had been the Hart Foundation before this, so this was just kind of a rebranding of them as a tag team in the WWF.
Oh, okay.
So for
they were
those
all
who
family
don't
at
know,
the same time too.
So for those who don't know, can you tell us the wrestlers who was in this tag match?
We had Owen Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and on the other side, which was the Orient Express, was Kato, and who was the other one there?
Tanaka, right? Was it Tanaka?
Tanaka.
Yeah, I believe that was the name, and then Mr. Fuji.
Because the original Orient Express had another guy. I think it was Saito. Maybe it might have been Saito or something like that. And then he left, and then Kato came in, and then shortly after that, the Orient Express broke up. It was gone from WWE after that, or WWF at the time. That I do remember.
So again, a pretty good opening match, very classic tag team style. If we don't have, you guys have anything else about that one?
Nah.
What did you rate the match, Coach?
That's a good question.
Honestly, if we were going to go 5 stars, I think I would give this one a 3. It was solid.
Really?
I enjoyed watching it. It's kind of a, I've wrestled again since 2011, and I think that if I were going to try to put on a tag team match, I'd be able to use the psychology and model kind of after this one. It was a very solid tag team match that you would see on the indies from maybe some bigger guys, right? You wouldn't have well, that's not even fair to say, because Owen Hart honestly surprises me. If you look at 92 and you see his style and how good of a high flyer he can be, that's kind of what I got reminded of here. And it was very before this became the style, right? It was really ahead of its time. So later on, when he became more ground and pound and left that behind, I think that unfortunately, probably before he had passed away, he really didn't get to see the impact that he started to have and others like him at the time on the style of wrestling that we see today.
He was Owen to me was way before his time. Owen would have fit. I would say, what is this? I would say Owen probably would have been a world champion now. This probably would have been the era for Owen Hart.
I think he'd have fit in a lot better now. And then he was kind of he was just laying the path. He was clearing the way for the path for that style. And we're talking in 3 days, this will have been 30 years ago.
Wow. Time flies. Right?
I'm gonna be honest with you. When you say now, are we talking about this very minute, Tyrell, or are we talking about just the whole culture of wrestling?
The whole culture of wrestling.
Okay. Does that include the AJ Styles title run?
Yes.
Okay, because I feel like Owen Hart would have been been right there with AJ Styles.
Exactly. Like the matches they put on.
Could you imagine those?
Owen in his prime versus an AJ in 2016, 2017. Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been matches for the ages.
Yeah.
Sure. Moving on in the night, our next match was the Intercontinental Championship match. We had Roddy Piper versus the newly crowned champion, the Mountie, who came out with Jimmy Hart. The story behind this was that the Mountie had just a few days prior got the Intercontinental Championship off of Bret Hart. And kind of the rumor and innuendo goes that this was because Vince McMahon was afraid that when Bret Hart's contract expired, which was around this time, that he would take the the WWE Intercontinental title and take it to WCW.
How ironic, right?
Right. Well, and I think that's why, because they had just showed the big gold on their TV, so they were worried that WCW would kind of return the favor, if you would. So they really kind of just...
To cut you off in hindsight, right? If you really think about this, right? This was 92.
Yep.
This exact same scenario happened 5 years later with a different championship. Granted, it's still a championship.
Lundra Blaze.
My thing is, no. I'm talking about the Montreal Screwjob. So he took the title off of Bret because he feared Bret was going to end up in WCW with the Intercontinental belt.
Right.
5 years later, he took the title off of Bret because he feared Bret was going to end up in WCW with the championship. Now, my thing is, if Bret did business for you 5 years earlier, why couldn't you have done the same thing for him in 97? What made you think 97 was so much more different than 92 was? Is it the egos?
Well, I think that you're looking at a company that was already struggling against WCW and a company that's their prized possession.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, maybe they could have returned the favor, but you're also looking at the difference between a mid-card championship and the heavyweight championship. As I said, their prized possession, and the way you do business, especially in the old school kind of style, is that if you're the talent, right, you got to do it the right way. You got to be right by the promoter, and obviously that wasn't what was right by the promoter.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, in retrospect, obviously the belt was to give into the Mountie just to be a transitional champion. It went to Rowdy Piper, which then told a great story at WrestleMania between him and Bret Hart. So I guess it all worked out anyway.
Yes, in the end, it definitely. I mean, it was a little bump in the road, but it allowed them to get to WrestleMania to have that match and probably a better stage for it.
Yes,
and this was a nice short match. It was fast paced, exciting. Just showed kind of the gimmick, the character that Roddy Piper wanted to embody. Right, his offense wasn't anything groundbreaking, but he did what he needed to do to get the championship. Which, even though he was a face, I think that's kind of what they wanted to go for. People love him, but it's because he's so off the wall. Right? And along with that, earlier in the night, in one of the interview segments, he said something about, he'll do whatever he needs to do to become the champion because he doesn't need or have integrity. Well, again, further building the character. He does whatever he needs to do to become the champion, but the fans still love him. And definitely, as you said, was a transition championship reign there for the Mountie.
Exactly.
Next, we had the Beverly Brothers with the Genius going against the Bushwhackers with Jameson. And as I said to you before we went live, who in the hell said the Bushwhackers could go for 15 minutes? Who approved that? Who let this happen?
But this was the era of cartoon characters where they were licking your face, and it was okay too, because that does not get away now.
This match.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that the Bushwhackers wrestling style wasn't good enough for a 15-minute match? Are we condemning the Bushwhackers right now?
Oh, we're judging. We're judging.
We're judging them. They're judging them bad. The poor wrestlers.
They were against the Beverly Brothers, right? That match was against the Beverly Brothers.
Yeah.
So curse the Beverly Brothers. I hate them even more because they produced Von Wagner. I hate the Beverly Brothers.
And it comes down to the gimmick. Something that
Von Wagner sucks.
You stall, you bite butts, you lick people, you brawl a little bit, and you do this, right? That's not made for 15 minutes. That's made for a 4 to 5 minute match. Right?
It's made for a T-shirt and a catchphrase.
Right.
Oh, so that would be similar to let's see, who's Baron Corbin's gimmick guy?
See, but the only difference is that Baron Corbin's a way better wrestler than a Bushwhacker. Well, you know what? I can't say that. Baron Corbin's a way better wrestler than what WWE produced the Bushwhackers to be, because the Sheep Herders were a different story.
Oh my gosh, yes. They would have never cut it in. They would have never been allowed to do that stuff on TV.
Charles, I do not think so. I do not think so.
Bushwhackers better than New Day?
I do not think so.
I have to agree to disagree there.
Better than the New Day.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
That's two different eras too. So you can't really compare the two.
Oh, brother.
How about New Day can carry a match and a feud, and the Bushwhackers? They can carry their luggage, I guess. I don't know.
Along with carry the doggone company in sales too.
Right.
Well, yeah.
But back to this match, it was literally like more than half of it was stalling, and then what was left of that was just uninteresting, at least to me, from what I remember of it and from what I kind of was fast forwarding through. Nothing of value happened in this match. I think they had 15 minutes to kill so that they could go from what they wanted to tell to the Rumble match.
But like you said, well, in retrospect, you know what? Because, before the show went on the air, you was like, so they could give the Bushwhackers 15 minutes, but not the Mountie and Piper. But you know what? It kind of makes sense if you really think about it, considering how the Piper and the Mountie both were in the Rumble. So why expend 15, 20 minutes, maybe risk an injury if these guys were already set to be in the Rumble anyway? So it kind of makes sense. It makes sense. Match still sucked, though.
And our last match before the Rumble was the tag team title match. It was the Natural Disasters versus the Legion of Doom.
So now I have a gripe. Why was this not a WrestleMania match? Why was this on a Rumble?
Can't tell you.
who booked this shit? Like, come on. Like,
Yo,
should not
that
have
match
been a
is
Rumble match.
definitely WrestleMania worthy.
Exactly.
The
There was like 2
Natural
teams in their
Disasters
prime
versus LOD.
at the Royal Rumble right before the title Royal Rumble. Come on, that's a filler match. That was like nobody's gonna remember that match.
Oh, wait a minute. That's I'm sorry. That's the Viking Raiders versus the Uso. No, I'm just playing.
Wow.
Just messing with y'all.
So you're trying to say that's Doudrop versus Becky Lynch.
Doudrop.
Gotcha.
What did y'all well, let me ask y'all this. What did y'all rate this match though? I mean,
that match
it's a match worth watching, actually. Sure.
Didn't that match end in a DQ?
Count out.
So it's a dud.
Dud. I'd give it a 2 out of 5 just because of the ending. I think it was a solid, had a good pace, but the end, I don't like that kind of
you
ending.
harsh. Wait a minute. Coach, you really harsh.
For me, matches are great, but if they end in a DQ when it should have been a clear winner, it already takes away the rating for me. You have to give me a winner. You cannot give me a DQ. And you know what's crazy? We were young as fans back then, didn't realize that these DQs were stupid back then. If you do this match now and it ends in a DQ, we're gonna be tight. Back then, we probably were happy with it because we were kids and they was just happy to see LOD versus Natural Disasters.
Yeah, but that's because just like the correlation of music, we don't like 4-minute songs no more. We only like 2. So prolonging and dragging out matches, people's attention span ain't the same. So just infuse. I mean, plus the creativity in this era ain't as good no more. So a lot of those feuds that be getting drawn out, you be seeing these matches 4 or 5 times before the pay-per-view even goes on.
Right, and that's one of my gripes about the modern product is that you get the match, like you said, you'll see it 2 or 3 times, and then they expect you to want to go watch it on a pay-per-view. Granted,
What is the point?
For WWE, at least it's on a network that you subscribe to, so maybe you're not out of the $50, $60, but AEW puts on pay-per-view quality matches every night. But yeah, there's something to be said about building a story and holding off on 2 wrestlers even touching each other until they get into a match. But that's kind of an old school philosophy that's starting to work its way out the window.
I agree.
Well, that was the undercard. If you guys are ready to get started with the Royal Rumble, Rail, take it away.
Okay, so we're going to do a countdown, and as soon as I say start, we're going to start. So we're going to start the countdown of the Rumble in 5, 4.
Hold on. We need to let them know where they're going to start at. So this
I'm sorry. I apologize.
1 hour, 27 minutes.
Exactly,
and
1 hour and 27-minute mark.
Fire up your Peacock network. It is season 5, episode 1.
Thank you for saying that because I didn't even realize that. You see? That's why you might.
Yeah, we was talking about that earlier.
Right,
I was like, which one is this, man? They got it by seasons. Like this is the Friends or some.
Right. Set it up like The Office. I don't know
that was a hot tag right there. You see?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna start it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click.
Nice pan of the audience, which you see all the time now.
Legendary ring announcer Howard Finkel. Given the traditional rules of the Royal Rumble.
So again, talking back to the significance of the 1992 Rumble, this is still considered by most people to be the best Rumble in history. Because of the star power, because of everything that came out of it. So many iconic moments.
And I think what made it big at the moment was because it wasn't just a shot at WrestleMania. It was actually for the World Championship.
Right. It was here and now. This is for the gold.
I kind of miss the old railings.
Yeah. The old metal guardrails.
Yeah, even the old Royal Rumble logo itself.
And another thing to remember too is that the Rumble match
Jack
itself,
Tunney.
the Rumble match itself at this time was a relatively new concept.
Yeah, it was only the 4th year.
Right. So here we are 4 years into it, and it's taken on another meaning as being for the beautiful Winged Eagle title there.
The greatest WWF president of all time, Jack Tunney.
Also be declared the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champion. Come on, let's go.
Bobby Heenan's like, come on, let's go. Let's get it started.
I love how he plays this whole, like, so worried about Ric Flair this whole
when
time,
Ric
this
Flair
whole
came
match.
out.
Yeah.
He said, oh, no. But we didn't know, what nobody really knows, that at ringside there was a very young Shane McMahon as a referee.
Right. This was the time where Shane McMahon was a referee. Stephanie McMahon was wearing all the latest attire in the magazines, and it's a family business. It's a big family business, but it was a family business.
And we see the first entrance coming out was the Royal Rumble. I mean, was the British Bulldog.
Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah. Never understood how he had straight hair in the front and then had braids in the back.
Yeah. Is that some form of...
Will you consider him the greatest European wrestler ever?
I'd have a hard time saying that. I mean, he's definitely up there, obviously, just off of notoriety itself, but I don't know if I'd call him the best.
And then
The
here
$1
we
Million
have
Man.
one of the greatest wrestlers to never be WWE champion. I don't count that BS when Andre won and gave it to him.
Yeah, I don't think that's technically recognized as a title reign, but the gimmick was there. The heat was there. He just never – he didn't need the title. And I think that even in his documentary, he says that, the gimmick itself didn't lend itself to needing the championship.
And they're off.
The championship wasn't going to do anything to him to build him, and he wouldn't really build the championship.
British Bulldog and the $1 Million Man.
Two Hall of Famers, two classic wrestlers. And at that time, you think about two different styles, too.
Oh, yeah, two very different styles. DiBiase.
Somebody messed up a cue right there. Looked like he was trying to go for a knee drop or an elbow drop, and British Bulldog got up.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I mean, definitely in this era, back in '92, you wouldn't sit there and go over a spot. You wouldn't say, let's do this.
No.
You're going to go out there and communicate with each other. So if you ever watch older wrestling and you notice little things like that, that's because as he's going for that elbow drop, either Davey didn't see it or he said it wasn't going to work for him.
He said, it's not working for me, brother.
Right. So,
there goes $1 Million Man.
Doesn't even last the first 2 minutes.
Which is crazy, right? He was never WWE champion either, right? British Bulldog.
Right. He never was. This wasn't long. This was either right after his WCW run initially or I'm not sure if this was
I think this was.
I think at 93 is when he was in WCW. So
yes, that's the whole Shockmaster debacle, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't too long before he went there for the first time.
And here we have Ric Flair.
And again, I love Bobby selling the whole like, oh my god, like it's the end of the world, right? The Heenan family is going to implode.
I mean, back in it, you had this. So like Bobby Heenan was a great storyteller. The idea that he's number 3, he won't last.
Right. But again, like we said, at this time, this was only the 4th Rumble match ever, and nobody had ever. I don't think anybody lasted from the last half of the Rumble, so let alone from number 3.
Mr. Perfect.
These are one of those kind of dream scenarios too. British Bulldog versus $1 Million Man in one instance. Now British Bulldog versus Ric Flair.
Right. Mr. Perfect.
And the fact
British
that
Bulldog.
Ric Flair has had the same gimmick forever is incredible. Like he's
Right.
never really changed his gimmick ever.
Right. He's lived the gimmick for
He's lived the gimmick even now.
how many years?
50.
All of
Feels
them.
yeah. Classic Ric Flair. Now let me ask you a question. Now British
Oh, my
Bulldog is
goodness.
strong, but how many times have you think Ric Flair has taken that press slam over the years? His matches with Sting was like
I was
all
gonna
that
say,
ever did.
every match was Sting, and I mean anybody that's got that muscular build, I think he's very keen on doing that.
And that's incredible
he
considering how he had back surgery in that plane crash.
Right. He definitely had his spots that he liked to do. He could change up matches to make them original. But he'd always have those spots where you come to expect in a Ric Flair match. And you never got mad when you seen him, like the turnbuckle spot where he flips up over the turnbuckle. Right? You expect that.
Or the spot where he stays on his feet and then he does the Flair flop.
Right. And the whole begging, classic Ric Flair.
9 out of 10 times he lured you in and just poked you in the eye or threw you out the ring.
Exactly. Being a heel, as he was for most of the time.
Oh, we have Nasty Boy Sags.
Yep. And actually, Knobs was supposed to be in this Rumble, kind of doing some backstory on this, and he had to be replaced. I think Haku replaced him.
Oh, really?
Because he was legitimately in like a bar fight and got stabbed.
Oh, wow.
From what I was reading when we decided we were going to do this watch along. So he's the only Nasty Boy we're going to see tonight.
Oh, I never knew that.
And then the other replacement that was advertised for the Rumble was, of course, Marty Jannetty, and that was just a kayfabe deal because of what had happened to him getting thrown through the glass. And he was selling the whole breakup of the Rockers. It was something I forgot to mention, but I figured I'd wait till the match anyway.
Royal Rumble causing strange alliances. Ric Flair teaming up with Nasty Boy Sags to beat up British Bulldog.
Yeah, and that's always something that's cool to see too. People that you would never see in the ring together at all. When are you ever going to see these three in the ring together other than a Royal Rumble match?
Exactly.
And they can still pull off the classic psychology, the classic heel versus baby.
You know what's crazy? Imagine in another Royal Rumble, right? Oh, I think he fell out. In another Royal Rumble, old school would have had, never mind, there he goes. Another old school would have had British Bulldog getting jumped, and the surprise entrance would have been Dynamite Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy booking, right?
Fantasy 101 there.
Yes, Charles is right. I did hear that rumor.
What's that?
Ken Shamrock beating up one of the Nasty Boys. I did hear that rumor.
I've not heard that.
Yes, and I think at an airport.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nasty Boys, Knobs. I think it was Knobs tried to intimidate Ken Shamrock, and Ken Shamrock beat his ass or something like that. It was something to that effect.
Why would you ever try to intimidate Ken Shamrock?
Why would you ever try to intimidate this man coming to the ring right now? Because the stories I've heard of this guy is crazy too.
He actually the guy that trained me, he has wrestled Haku a couple times.
Has he?
And I've met him. He's the most. He's humble. He's the nicest man ever. But don't piss him off. Don't get on his bad side.
Yep.
He's one of those guys, and he's older. You know, when I met him, he was much older, and I guess it cooled down a little bit. But he's all those stories that you hear, they're true.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few.
Right. He's probably, and has been reported by multiple people, he is probably the most feared guy in the history of the WWE.
That also goes to show you how wrestling.
Respected.
That also goes to show you too how wrestling is scripted, right? Because if he's that fair, like everybody says, then if he wanted to be champion, who was going to stop him?
Right. If he wanted to beat you, you were going to be beat.
Yeah. Ooh, power driver.
And of course, his son is in the Bullet Club.
Yes, Tama Tonga, both of them, and Tonga Loa.
Yeah, that's true. Classic Ric Flair here. I love this knee drop. Oh yeah, he made contact there.
Yeah, because a lot of times I've seen he didn't.
Right.
Charlotte does the same thing.
Ooh,
Oh, them chops look like
oh,
they
still
hurt.
wasn't quite a Flair chop. Nobody does a
Man,
chop
listen,
like Ric Flair.
who would you take a chop from, Ric Flair or Haku?
Based off of that, Haku.
Nah, I wouldn't take a chop from either one, to be honest with you.
Now, see, you didn't give me that option.
He threw Haku over the rope.
Definitely not keeping people in here. Usually you have here comes Shawn Michaels.
The newly looked Shawn Michaels, because that look wasn't too far removed from the Rock.
This was, and I'm not sure if he was even Heartbreak Kid at this point. This was the introduction of the Heartbreak Kid persona, but I don't know that he had even got that nickname yet.
Who would ever thought, looking at these two now, where their careers would have went, and that man would have been the one to end that man's WWE career?
Yeah, right. It's insane to go back again 30 years and just see. Ooh, that was not close.
Oh, you noticed that too, right?
Yeah. and just see these people and to be able to piece together their career from this point forward, right? All of them have history together, one way or another.
Ooh.
And of course, Shawn Michaels the only one to be in the WWE the entire time.
He had to perfect that super kick, because the first two super kicks he threw in this Rumble were not good ones at all.
Them first two super kicks was trash.
Straight
dumpster
too, right?
juice. Yeah, them joints was dumpster juice. What the world?
Oh, Hillish tactics, raking the eyes.
And of course, you notice, most people don't put too much thought behind it, but if you're in a battle royal or you're in the Rumble match like this, normally when there's more people in there, all you're going to see is punches and kicks.
You notice he just aided himself up on the rope?
He's been doing that. He did that for about 30 years.
The things that you don't see, the things that we see now that we didn't pay attention to back then.
Right. But like I was saying, you'll notice basically the style, especially once the ring starts filling up here, it's all punches and kicks, and then make sure you clear the way if you know somebody's going to be doing something. So, if you're going to do like a suplex or something big, you really have to communicate that with everybody.
El Matador, Tito Santana, one of the most underrated wrestlers in my opinion.
And now he's a college professor, is that right? Or a high school teacher, one of the two.
He doesn't get he surely enough doesn't get the credit he deserves in wrestling. He was one of those that could have been a great coach or producer after his career was up.
Yep. I think this was back before the time that was really even a thing, though.
Yep.
But I mean that's an advent of a position that's. I mean, I can't imagine how much that benefits the companies, because one, you got all this experience that they're going to be spreading to younger talent. You also get a way to support people that have made your money for the company, right? But yeah, I think it had that existed at the time, and they've been looking for something like that. I think he'd have been a good one. But sometimes just because you're the best, one of the best in the ring, or one of the better ones in the ring, doesn't mean that you're going to be the best teacher of it.
Exactly.
As Ric Flair said multiple times, he loves doing it, but he when it comes to teaching it, he's just not. That's not him. That's not.
He probably would get frustrated.
Right.
Well, speaking of trying to throw people out, not to be funny or nothing, but
Wasn't this a WrestleMania match a couple months later? Tito Santana versus Shawn Michaels?
Yes, WrestleMania, because this would have been going into WrestleMania 8.
Yep. Oh, that flying forearm.
That was the Intercontinental title. No.
That was just I think it was just an opening match.
Yeah, because the Intercontinental was Piper and Hart. Yeah.
Oh,
Barbarian.
That man was put
something
together.
That you guys don't know yet is that I've actually wrestled the Barbarian.
Have you?
Yes, he is just like Haku. He's one of the nicest guys ever, and his accent, it's so thick that sometimes it's hard to understand. But he's again just so nice. When he punches you, you just
really
it's great.
It's almost like you don't feel it at all. but it looks so believable, right?
It's scary. But
how old is he now?
I don't know. He's got to be his bump card's probably about to expire, but
He's still
I
in
think
good
he's
shape, though, right?
Oh yeah, he's still in shape. He's still good.
That was a very underrated tag team in WCW too. The Faces of Fear, him and Ming.
Mm-hmm. I like that name, the Faces of Fear. I like
Yeah.
that whole gimmick.
They really had a chance to really make Ming a main eventer at that point when he was doing the tongue and death grip to everybody. Because he was almost like he was unstoppable at the time. I remember watching one match. I think he fought Goldberg, and he had Goldberg in the tongue and death grip, and he had Goldberg down for it too. And it looked like he was going to beat Goldberg when he wasn't supposed to, and he let up the tongue and death grip. And I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, and I'm like, "Okay, I get it now." It was to keep the streak alive.
He had I think it was Bash the Beach '95. It was Ming versus Sting for the United States title.
That was a good match.
It was. It stands out. That whole pay-per-view stands out just because of being actually on the beach and everything. But that match does stand out to me. See who's coming out here. I'm not sure what entry we're on. Didn't keep track here, but
the Texas Tornado,
Ultimate Warrior Light.
Charles, I'm not sure, but I think so.
Berserker. I guess we'll
kind of think
find out soon. No, the Repo Man is.
Mm-hmm.
They're about on the same level.
It's crazy because if you know you're wrestling at the time, I didn't. But if you know you're wrestling, Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich had quite a history before WWE.
Oh yeah, and you can tell that. I mean, most of the crowd probably doesn't know. We didn't have social media, didn't have all that.
But you could see the excitement on Flair's face when he came into the ring. It was almost like a rivalry renewed in another company.
I think the Texas Tornado with I guess a different gimmick for one, but if he wouldn't have been kind of given the look of the Ultimate Warrior,
it was almost similar. The
tassels was better, right? That's what I say. He's like the great value version of the Ultimate Warrior. That's what he looks like here.
With a little bit more, more athletic, more talented wrestler version of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a shot at his in-ring ability. It's just that we've already seen this.
Not for nothing, fantasy booking. You could have actually played off a Texas Tornado versus Ultimate Warrior feud, and like Texas Tornado could have been like a evil Ultimate Warrior clone or something. Because the body types are almost similar. You put some paint on his face, probably could have been able to pull it off. Probably around the time when Wyatt came back.
That would have been this generation of WWE. That would have been something that I could have seen them doing too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. WWE would have looked at him like he could fit the Undertaker Ultimate Warrior mode. We'll have him as Ultimate Warrior, and then the real Ultimate Warrior comes back, and then now you have a feud. Oh, here comes Smash. Hey. I mean Repo Man.
Called that one. But I guess a couple years later though, we'd see that with the Undertaker.
Yep, exactly.
And Diesel, and Razor Ramon.
Yeah. And the funny thing is,
guess how many times it worked?
None of it.
Right.
But I guess you can say Ultimate Warriors, the Undertaker versus the Undertaker worked because the real Undertaker was walking around with DiBiase until SummerSlam came in, and you could clearly see the difference between the two.
I mean, I think that was storyline wise was probably the best, and I think because it kind of sounded like what you were going with there, or what they could have went with Tornado and Warrior. Is there's a story behind it. You're not just replacing somebody and trying to sell it as the same person, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't work on TV shows. That's not going to work in a live event.
Nope.
It's more along the lines of like how they do with the fake Sting. Fake Sting.
That fake Sting character lasted a long time, though.
Reminds you almost of how AEW is today, where you just get so many people, you can throw them all a payday, but maybe not use them too much.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Those chops. And I'll tell you from experience, there's no way to make a chop not hurt. And just because it doesn't make a lot of noise, doesn't mean
it still doesn't sting.
Right. And usually if it doesn't make a lot of noise, it's because it's hit in such a way that it was more like a punch to the chest than a slap. Right.
So that actually that one hurts more.
If this part of the hand hits you, it's more like a punch to the chest. And of course, if the open hand hits it, it makes a lot of noise, which stings and burns.
Break the hammer, Valentine.
Met him on 2 different.
How many title reigns did Ric Flair have in WCW?
In WCW? I know combined with NWA it was 16.
No, it can't
talking
be.
You're talking about WCW?
No, because one of those championships, I think, because you have to include his championship in WWE too. So he won the title 2 times, so he'd be like 14 then. If you're not including the fact that he really was like a 21-time world champion, but
right.
Yep, Flair with his traditional Flair flop.
Something we'd see adopted by a variation.
Wait a minute. I need to review on his championships again. Explain that again. You said 21.
Yeah, Ric Flair really actually has won 21 world championships, although they're documented as 16.
Right. 16 recognized world title reigns, and that's 8 NWA world titles, 6 WCW world titles,
okay,
2 WWE world titles.
Yeah.
The other ones would just be from like kind of the bigger promotions through the world that he won.
WWE. Which one? What was the 2 times that he won the world title there?
One of them was here,
right,
and then the other one is he won it from Savage. After Savage beat him at WrestleMania, he won it back.
So he was there a year, was 2-time champion, and then he bounced.
Yeah, then he lost it to Bray at a house show in Saskatchewan. I always remember that because I'm like, he never really won it on TV. He actually won it at a house show.
The glory there.
Mm-hmm. The glory that anything can happen. Nikolai Volkov, classic.
Another story for me here. My first tag team match. Mm-hmm. He was on the other side of the ring.
Oh.
Yep. He was.
You have quite the history of some of these guys in this Rumble.
And I didn't realize it until now. It's kind of cool.
How long have you been wrestling again?
Since 2011. So he was.
10 years. 11 years.
Well, let me rephrase. Let me give you a new timeline. Started training in August 2011, debuted in January 2012. So 10 years.
10 years. When was your last match?
My last match was in this past November, and then I'll wrestle again February 5th.
Oh, okay.
The Indies take a little break during the winter because you never know what the snow's going to do and all that kind of thing. And it's hard to get any venues because of basketball.
Oh, yeah.
We had a tag team match where he was on the other side, and that was where I turned heel. And
Greg the Hammer Valentine with a figure 4 on Ric Flair and by Nikolai Volkov. You turned heel in the match?
Yep, that was my debut. I was a baby for about 10 minutes.
What happened? They went to make the tag, and you then reached for the tag?
I hit my partner with the chair.
Oh.
And then Nikolai's team won. And then the next show, he was one of my partners.
So you were like an honorary Bolshevik?
We had a tag team. We were called Russian Roulette.
You were honorary Bolshevik. There you go.
Yep, I was the turncoat Travis Tarvin at the time. So
look, the name fits perfect. Yep. Turncoat Travis Tarvin. Are you a heel or baby now?
I'm split now between the promotions. It just depends on what they want me to be. I'm heel at some of them and baby at some of them.
What promotions do you wrestle for?
The one that's local is the Elite Pro Wrestling Alliance and the ATCW, which is Atlantic Terror Championship Wrestling. And then just whoever contacts me. But those are my two main ones that I'm on pretty much every show for.
Nice.
And then
Oh.
March 5th, somebody just reached out to me about working. It's called the Kings and Queens of Indie Wrestling. It's a newer promotion.
Nice.
As in, this would be their second show, so it just depends. Whoever reaches out.
Oh, Bossman threw out Smash.
Repo Man. Gone too.
You know, it's crazy. Then he get thrown out the ring and he's looking around like he's ready to steal something still.
Right. And that's what in his when they had all the different interviews beforehand, he said he loves to steal things, and tonight he's going to steal the title.
Yeah, that didn't work. Right now, Shawn Michaels.
I gotta go to ringside, Monsoon.
He wasn't doing nothing. Right now, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and British Bulldog. Oh, never mind. I take that out. Right now, Ric Flair and British Bulldogs. Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels are the Iron Men of the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because
bye.
I think was Michaels right after Flair or two? He might have been 2 or 3 entries after.
I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 after. Flair just eliminated this. Flair just eliminated Texas Tornado and I think Greg Valentine.
Well, there we have the beginning of a reason to have a WrestleMania match.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminate each other, and they're going to fight on the outside here. It looks like I guess we're going to be separated.
Oh, the Hercules Hernandez. Oh, when he was a member of the great tag team at the time, Power and Glory.
Power and Glory. So how old would you have been during this Rumble?
10? No,
10?
Not 9. Because this was 92. I didn't turn 10 until May.
I'd have been a year and 3 months.
So you would have known absolutely nothing about this.
Nope.
At least I was old enough to understand this on VHS at the time.
Right. You can kind of remember back to watching it. I didn't watch it until
another Ric Flair press slam spot.
Yep. I didn't watch it until the Ric Flair discography where it was like I forget what it's called. It's just the history of it. It's the first time I watched the actual match itself. And then I bought, if you remember, they came out with like the Rumble, all the big 4, Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series.
The anthologies.
Buy all of them. Yeah. And I bought the Rumble one. And I've watched it probably 200 times since then, but what do you guys think about Big Boss Man? I think he was underrated.
I think so too. Oh, look at the way he bounced off the ropes.
I think maybe a different gimmick we would have seen more. I don't think he was a bad talker. I just think that the whole
what a kick that was.
Yeah,
very flexible for a big man.
Yeah, at least physicality wise and what he can do in the ring, he's better. Oof, that hurts.
Yeah, but see the funny thing about that. The funny thing, I feel like he embellished too much. He pushed himself over the rope. If you see it, it's like he had to make sure his momentum. And then Ric Flair does the Ric Flair flop. Yes. I think I know who's coming out next if I remember. I think it was Piper. I'm going to go on the limb and say it was, right? Because Ric Flair looked like he and then Piper came out. And then I think Jake came out after and Macho came out after. Let's see if I'm right on the next 3. Yep. So now I'm calling it. The next one was Jake, and then the next one was Macho after that. I think.
Man, how over Roddy Piper was. That's crazy.
Now, you just took the words out of my mouth because I was going to talk about how much of a heel he was just a few years before this.
And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about the other night. You know, when you become this heel, it's so much easier to transition into a baby that everybody cares about, oddly enough.
Do you think that's the route that they're taking with Roman? That eventually when he does go back to baby, it's like the fans will just appreciate him more because he was a heel first?
I think they will. I just think it's more organic. I mean, if they don't really know who you are or care about you at all, then you got to create that completely, right? Not saying it's never been done and that it can't be done, but I think it's easier to make the people hate you and then slowly transition them back into seeing that you're a changed man, right? Because everybody believes in the second chance. You know what I mean? So,
fake the atomic drop and poke them in the eye.
So that's what the kind of the story of the second chance, and they start to like him again, and then they'll transition back to heel or whatever. If you're a big show, you'll do that 34,000 times in your career.
You know, fantasy booking now, right? Could imagine what if Piper would have never won the Intercontinental belt at this event, right? And let's just say Savage would have never gotten a title shot against Flair at WrestleMania. What would a main event have looked like with Piper versus Flair for the title? And would they have even pulled the trigger and put the belt on Piper?
I don't think they would have.
Savage and Flair had a story behind it, so it worked with Savage won. But it didn't last long because Flair got the belt back. Oh, see? And if I'm and I see, I said Jake, right? So next it should be Macho. It should be.
Love it. Classic heel. That psychology there. Just the snake.
Ahead.
He's going to lie in wait and pounce when he needs to. Strike when he needs to, I guess I should say, with the snake.
He somehow momentum turned him away from them with the sleeper. Left him wide open to Jake.
Man, you gotta think, Jake the Snake Roberts, if he had been sober through his run, or
he would have been world champ at least once.
Just how much more he would have accomplished. Where they'd have been willing to push him if he would have been
Imagine
able to do it.
A heel world champion and he kept the title in the bag.
That'd be
you want the
cool.
belt, go get
Right.
it.
Right. I think I'll wait.
Yeah.
But even with what I love, the whole gimmick, of course, this slow, methodic,
everything
he's able to do about everything.
Everything he did was so methodical. Everything was so calculated.
Even his promos, when he's talking, he doesn't do all the yelling like they would back then, right?
He didn't have to.
Right. He brought the audience in because no matter what he said, you listen. It was always slow and talking. Great promo, but he put you on the edge of your seat just by what he was saying and the look on his face. It's a very different promo from this whole like, let me tell you something, brother. You know,
it doesn't work. Doesn't work for me, brother. Back then, oh snap, that was a good one. Okay, truly every man for himself in this situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the punch almost took Piper over the ropes.
Notice too how loose the ropes used to be.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I've seen a lot of documentaries.
Oh, see, I was off. It was Hacksaw.
Hacksaw. Another man that I've been in shows with. He's really.
It's a good guy.
Oh yeah, he's a really good guy. I've never really had any bad experiences with any names at shows. My favorite may be Rhino.
Rhino looks like an overall good guy.
Rhino or Shane Douglas.
Rhino looks like an overall good guy.
He is.
Shane too?
Mm-hmm.
You know who reminds me of Shane now? Hammerstone. Their look is almost similar. You have the Hammerstone MLW heavyweight champion. Look at him. He looks like a more bigger version of Shane Douglas.
Really?
Yeah. Alexander Hammerstone.
But yeah, Shane's just to kind of sit down and talk to probably who I've been able to get a chance to do that with the most. But
he'll sit there and actually give you like knowledge and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's good. That's good.
He just wants to give back, which is priceless.
He always didn't have the best reputation though. He's another one. I guess his reputation is the reason why he's not on TV now in some way, shape, or form. Shane Douglas looked like he'd be a perfect mentor for Wardlow right now.
How many atomic drops have we seen here?
Quite a few that you eat, and it's crazy because we barely see those now. This will be even more exciting next week with the Rumble watch along. Because at least in that we really have no idea. Like this might be the first Rumble we really have no idea who's actually going to win it.
That's true. Like
that's going to be a long watch along too because that's from the beginning of the show to the end.
Right, pre-show until the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Is it January 29th? Is that what that is? The 28th?
Yeah.
I'll put my calendar here.
I think it's a Saturday night.
All right, 29th. So make sure everybody joins us 29th on the Wrestling Never Sleeps Network.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing a live show.
Bray Wyatt Sr. Is that who this is?
Word, right? It's crazy when you think the amount of wrestling knowledge that Bray Wyatt has, like in terms of his family. Like his father's IRS, his uncle's Barry Windham. Like it's crazy. Like his name is Windham.
Right, and the fact that it's not really talked about much either.
Nah, he has a wrestling name. His name is Wyndham Rotunda.
Right.
Like his first name is after his uncle's last name, which is one of the most underrated, greatest wrestlers ever. And I'm talking about Kendall Windham, not Barry.
Double noggin knocker.
I was just about to say, how often do we see that in Rumbles? How often do we see that period now?
Never.
Flair did another Flair flop.
Now it's a double super kick or a double Canadian destroyer or something.
Oh my God! Off of somebody's shoulder.
Yep.
I forgot about that part.
Ooh, that was rough.
I forgot about that part. He slapped Elizabeth in the face, Jake Roberts.
I forgot about that too. I guess that's the whole idea behind the feud.
Yep.
I'm not sure what number we're on here. Who's your call on here?
Superfly.
Snuka.
And incredible shape too. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. He's trying to think of when he actually kind of stepped away from the WWE. Probably wasn't long after this, if this wasn't.
Yeah, because this is 92, and I know he lost the Undertaker at WrestleMania 7. But no, this. And then I remember him being at the 2007 Rumble, and he was out for quite some time before that. Him and Piper both, because they both were out of shape.
Well, they're old and retired.
Yeah, you got like 15 years.
Nostalgia act.
15 years later from this one right here.
That's crazy. Because he kind of looks old there. Looks like he's just.
Yeah. Look like he's back for nostalgia. Look like he's back for nostalgia act right here.
Right. You think about some of the highlights of his career, though. I'm talking about people ahead of their time. The splash off the cage and just all that high flying stuff.
The Morocco moment.
But yeah.
Piper and Flair still going at it. What wasn't talked about back then was the fact that Flair had been in this Rumble for a long time.
Oh yeah, and then as you continue forward with Rumble matches, that becomes the focus when they know somebody's gonna kind of run.
That's crazy. I don't remember when Shawn Michaels got eliminated.
It was with Martel.
Oh, was it?
Yep. That's why when I said that there goes a reason to have a WrestleMania match.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Because then they were kind of at a fisticuffs on the outside, and the refs separated them. And it was kind of a weird elimination. They were both there and both went.
It's my odds-on favorite to win. A very young, early Undertaker.
But so much more creepy looking.
Yeah, back then, right?
Right. Of course, I mean they put more into the character there as it became edgier. It was more of the goth style.
Yeah, but it's definitely more of a death creepy,
right.
Like he definitely,
And looking on paper, you would think of any of the gimmicks that would last a little while and then completely change.
I forgot Undertaker and Jake at this moment were on the same page. Oh, damn.
Quite a right hand there.
It's crazy because looking at him choke Ric Flair, you can clearly tell he's not choking Ric Flair.
Right.
It looks like it, but he did a real good job of making it look like it. But you can clearly tell there's space between his hand and Ric Flair's throat.
And again, this is a completely different work style of Undertaker too.
Oh, Undertaker
a lot
hit it
more
with a low
creepy,
blow. A lot more slower.
right? Just to get that gimmick over, and then you have as he grows experience and the character develops, and the fans kind of fall in love with it. He becomes, within the next couple years here, a guy that can put on a great match with anybody, and obviously that continues until he ends his career.
The fans fell in love with Undertaker during the Hogan match at Survivor Series. That was the beginning of realizing that Hogan wasn't as over as he used to be. Look at Ric Flair chopping Undertaker nothing.
Good old no sell.
Oh, they're all jumping him, and he still ain't killing this. IRS just falls back and waits for the next wrestler to come out. Oh, here come Macho Man 100,000 miles a minute. And Jake on the other side hiding.
Listen,
I just realized it.
I run to the ring like that, I'm blown up. I got to wait outside the ring, get some oxygen.
Macho Man comes right in and just gets jumped by everybody. Little overzealous. And look, Jake creeping. Bobby Heenan's like, Rick, why are you still fighting? 4 bags, relax.
But if you're ever going to have the key to longevity, it's a gimmick like that where you're taking a beating from 4 or 5 different people and you don't have to bump. You just slow moving, just throwing people around.
I still think to this day that there you go. And then here come Macho Man because he just couldn't.
Was that I remember the elimination of himself, but I didn't remember that he just kneed Jake in the ass and he
somewhere. Yeah, exactly. And then somewhere between now and WrestleMania, Jake and Taker had a falling out. Yeah, because that was their WrestleMania match.
Yeah, WrestleMania 8 was them two.
Mm-hmm. But the seeds have been planted. That SummerSlam. Remember when Jake went to hit Elizabeth with the chair coming through after the marriage, and Undertaker stopped it.
Yeah.
So the seeds were planted at that moment, but they kind of still held on because obviously these guys are still on the same page.
Right.
And it was like one of those situations where they talked about it, but then they left it alone because it was like, oh, Undertaker saved her. But then it was like, oh, and then they just left it. And then they never went back to it until a couple of months later.
That's weird.
It was long-term storytelling.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he's beating up Undertaker. He's beating up Macho Man, but I think Macho Man's eliminated.
They're both eliminated, aren't they? Didn't Undertaker go over the top?
No.
He just went through the ropes.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Hogan eliminated him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, You're right. Yeah, he just didn't. I guess he just wasn't done beating up on Macho Man.
No.
But Macho Man was eliminated by himself. Although Kane in 1998 or 97, whatever that was, he came out and did something and he just stepped over the top rope.
Yeah.
It looks like a slingshot coming up over there by Piper. That's a move that's a lot easier to.
Oh, WrestleMania 8's main event match that nobody knew at the time.
Right. We got them two. A lot of.
Oh, how you low blow Undertaker? But it looked like, wait, is he? Did he feel? Maybe a little bit. Almost looked like it had no effect on him, right? Oh, yeah, there go Charles's answer, the Berserker. I still remember when the Berserker tried to slice the Undertaker with the sword and it went through the ring.
I don't remember that.
That was an episode of Superstars where they were feuding, and you know how Undertaker played the whole possum thing he laid out. Berserker went and grabbed his sword, and when he tried to split it right through Undertaker moved and went right through the ring.
Good Lord.
Fun fact for people who don't know, Undertaker was actually supposed to play that Berserker character.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I honestly
if I'm not mistaken, I think Undertaker was supposed to be Berserker, and Berserker was supposed to be Undertaker.
I don't know that I've ever heard that. The only thing I'd heard that about the gimmick was that when Undertaker got called to come in, he just was hoping he wasn't supposed to be the
egg.
gobbledygooker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
the
think
egg.
if I'm not mistaken, I think Undertaker was supposed to be the Berserker. And Berserker was supposed to be the Undertaker.
My opinion on that whole thing is if anybody else got the Undertaker gimmick,
It would have never
it would
worked.
have lasted maybe a year or two.
The funny thing, Berserker looks like he looks like what Jacob and Eli Blue was. He looked like he could have been related to them or been a part of.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I didn't know if he was.
He's not one of them. No.
Who was their manager?
Zebekiah.
Yeah.
Damn. What is his name? He was Zeb Coulter.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dutch Mantel. There you go.
Yep.
Dutch Mantel.
You're right. Yeah, that was not a good slam there.
It's Hogan. Oh, even worse. Even better, it's Virgil.
Virgil. Oh.
It's Olive Garden Virgil.
Another guy that I've met.
Is he okay? So let me ask you: is he a nice guy?
Honestly, yes, but he shows up, like he legitimately does show up to shows like uninvited, unexpected, just to try to make money.
Does he?
And you don't really tell anybody no, but it's just it's kind of sad. Like you see the meme of him just kind of sitting at signings alone with nobody in his line.
Yes,
all that kind
I've
of thing.
seen
Like
it.
that legitimately, yeah.
It legitimately happens.
Like he has no shame. He'll sit up anywhere to try to sell some merchandise.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, as far as to just sit there and talk to, he's not a bad guy at all.
The fact that that has to be heartbreaking though, to come sit there at the merch table by yourself and nobody's coming up to your merch table, not even for a picture.
But
I heard he overcharges too.
Well, the flip side of that, when I was telling you how we did the Ric Flair thing at my high school,
Mm-hmm.
Virgil was there, and I mean he made a killing. So it just all depends on where he sets up. So it's hard to tell where he was set up, where these pictures were taken. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go set up pretty much anywhere, if you're setting up at a Comic-Con where maybe people don't really know a lot about wrestling, and you're not gonna get a big line. And the meme itself kind of looks like it's before the place even opens. You know what I mean? Because I mean, you only see people walking around, but there's definitely a little bit of truth in the thing. So he will set up anywhere to try to get some money. As would I, if I had any power behind my name.
Oh, the Iron Sheik, aka Colonel Mustafa.
Yo, I just want to put this out here on wax on paper right now that you have the beard of Braun Strowman, but the look of Cassius. Oh no.
Oh.
All I could think of is oh no, no.
Have you ever met him?
Cassius?
Yes, I have.
You met him too?
Yes, I have. He was here at an NXT event at Buffalo Buffalo River Works. I met Ricochet. I met Ricochet, Shayna Baszler.
Back when NXT was actually good.
Luke Harper, Johnny Gargano. I met what the hell is his name? Why am I blanking on? Oh, I met Adam Cole in them too. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Fish, Bobby Fish.
Did you do the Undisputed? Did you do the Undisputed Era sign with him in the picture?
No, because Adam Cole was acting like a diva.
Was he really?
Yes, he was acting like a diva. Who else? Let me think.
That's a lot of fans in that layout.
Let me think.
Knickerbocker Arena in Albany.
What's the guy who had the ominous presence when he went in the ring? Lars Sullivan. That's who I met. I met Lars.
He looked like a big man. Like
he is.
He looked like a creative wrestler.
Yeah.
Like his body looks he looks like he has a caveman body. Like his body don't fit his body doesn't fit the stature of a person. Like it's weird. Like he just looks so much bigger than most people. He look like he got like a bowling ball head too. Oh,
So you met Cassius when he was in NXT then?
They got a model.
Yeah, I did. I met him when he was in NXT.
I saw him as Chris Hero. So I knew him before. Well, I didn't know him, but I've seen him before he got to NXT.
Ricochet at the time was the North American champion at the time.
Okay.
Cassius
I went to a show in
like
Pittsburgh around that time. What's
Cassius
that?
Ohno's elbows look like they hurt.
Sure they do.
I want to know, like, I would love to see like how a wrestler does his moves and they don't hurt, but they look so believable, like a Cassius Ohno elbow. I want to see like
who says they don't hurt.
Hurt to the point where you don't get a concussion from it.
Maybe that's what's wrong with us.
I'm gonna have to interview you on the pros and cons of professional wrestling.
There's a list on both sides.
Oh yeah, and that was the same.
Iron Sheik is eliminated.
Yeah, that's the same time I met the Viking Raiders too. They were there, the Viking Raiders.
I can't wait till they leave WWE and go back to War Machine.
That's such a better name and the more intimidating gimmick that they had in NXT. But I'm surprised Virgil's still in there. We're more surprised that the guy that looks like the cousin to the Blues there, Berserker.
In the middle of the Royal Rumble, Hacksaw wants to get a USA chant going.
It's kind of going. You gotta live the gimmick, brother.
Undertaker.
Okay, so wasn't Savage eliminated like a half hour ago?
I guess it didn't count. Because in today's Royal Rumble, he'd have been gone already.
Oh, yeah. Well, a couple years later, like I said, Kane.
No, Mascaras did it.
Yeah.
Not to get off topic again.
Oh, here we go. It's about to get
Hogan. Yeah. You know, not to get off topic, but you know who was weird and didn't even like show up at all, like to get met? I don't know if she got out the back door or whatever, but Io Shirai.
Really?
Yeah, she was weird. And that was before the Io Shirai before the Josie Judas.
Oh, before she turned into the heel?
Yes, before she turned heel.
She might have had some business to take care of, or some people just.
A lot of those wrestlers might have some anxiety issues too. Yeah, everybody's jumping Hogan.
And then he's gonna push him
away.
Sure.
There you go. Here we go. You called it. Look, all heel tactics too. Raking eyes. There goes Taker. And then he rolls his eyes in the back of his head. For what? So Hulk Hogan in less than 10 seconds combined threw out a combined weight of 600 plus pounds.
The crowd loves it though.
All before he ripped his shirt off. And now he's choking the model with his shirt. Oh, by Virgil. Oh, by Hacksaw. Oh, both of them. Wow.
Oh. That didn't look like a fun landing.
No, it didn't. Other than now, IRS is choking Piper with Hogan's shirt. It's crazy.
It's kind of funny. All those heel moves he's doing, like the eye rigs and everything. I never really thought about it until watching it back now. Like
Rick better than Hogan?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, Skinner.
Although Hogan, I'm sure, would surprise everybody if you watch his
match in
Japan
93
matches.
with Buddha.
Yeah, you watch that. You watch any time that he was really trying to do that. It's kind of like a John Cena thing where
the funny thing is
he found what worked for him and what got him over in WWF.
But I think Vince didn't want him to do that.
Right. He wanted to limit it so that he could stay healthy.
I've seen Andre matches.
Oh yeah, Andre same way.
Andre used to do kip-ups.
Well, just look at all the people that you see in like the different organizations when they come to WWE.
Everything
Right,
changes.
like,
They're watered down.
Something I'm seeing now is that there's a little bit of heat on Vince because he said something about, oh, it's just Raw. Don't do that. Right? You're not going to do that on a Raw match. It's just TV.
Oh, so it's like it's just TV where the fans pay to see
Right.
this. We don't care.
But that's been the mentality forever.
Mm-hmm.
You put on matches that'll, it's a wrestling match. It either helps build the story or
He was another underrated
old
wrestler,
school
too.
mentality is to make sure that you see the person wrestle, but they don't touch the person they're supposed to be against at the pay-per-view, right?
He was another underrated wrestler, the model.
Martel.
Yes.
Remember him and Jake Roberts at, I guess that was WrestleMania 7, the blindfold match.
Yes, that was actually a really good match for what it was.
Yeah, they kept your attention.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how many chops Ric Flair's thrown.
How the hell did Hogan's shirt get back on his neck
in this match? I don't know. That's
that was almost a smooth sequence. Clothesline inflated, clotheslines and Skinner over the ropes.
Clothesline Skinner's elbow.
Yeah, he did.
Still bumped for it.
Oh, I forgot he was a face at this time.
Wasn't the Iran sympathizer or whatever?
No, he was
Iraqi
back to,
sympathizer.
He's back to G.I. Joe Slaughter.
That was WrestleMania 7 as well.
Yeah,
This was his transition back, I guess.
It's crazy to think that a year prior to this, he was beating Ultimate Warrior for the title.
Yeah.
Slaughter looked like he was barely moving. Here, this is a match I would have loved to see. Look, Hogan heel tactics. Look at this. See that?
Yep. It's just me or Slaughter always looked like he was 55.
Yeah, he got the Arn Anderson syndrome.
Yep.
Arn Anderson looked like he was 45 when he was 25.
Right.
His son looks like he's about 45 now, and he's like 18.
Already at 55 minutes.
I realized in this match that Macho Man and Hogan never touched each other.
Yeah, not yet.
No, I don't think they touched each other at all.
Maybe they were feuding at the time. Who knows?
Right?
Like real life.
Right? Keep them away from me.
It's crazy to think that just 3 years later, you're looking at Flair, Hogan, Macho Man, Piper, even
in WCW, right?
Even IRS, yeah.
Heck.
Martel, like all these people.
I think a lot of people thought he was the favorite to win. And he jumped on that rope.
Right now, everybody in the ring except for Sergeant Slaughter saw a WCW run once WCW started to grow.
He was very underrated. I used to love his powerbomb.
Sid?
Yes.
I was never much of a fan, but his powerbomb is pretty cool. It's
one of
the better forms.
His powerbombs, his choke slams. And I used to love the fact that he was like 6'8", 6'9", and could do one hell of a kip up. I loved his match with Shawn Michaels as Survivor Series 96.
They had a crazy match at the 97 Rumble.
Yeah.
For Shawn Michaels legitimately having the flu.
Did he?
He had like a legitimate fever and everything during that match.
And still fought.
Yep.
Nowadays it would have been Corona. He wouldn't have been able to get in the ring.
Yeah, nowadays, no go.
Nope. Who would have just thought looking at these two, like a couple of years prior to that, he was a horseman with him.
Yeah.
Maybe like a year prior to that, maybe.
Let's say like what?
This is 92, January.
It's like 90?
Yeah, they were in War Games together. That's when he almost killed Brian Pillman. with the powerbomb on the top of the cage.
Oh yeah, his feet hit the.
Oh
top of
look,
the
he just
cage.
did a kip up. See?
It's impressive. And then the world's shittiest clothesline.
Yeah. There were a lot of eye raking in this match.
Again, goes back to the whole like battle royal, Royal Rumble thing. There's only so many things you can really do when that many people are in there. But you're right, a lot of eye raking. The Warlord.
It was crazy how different. Yeah, he's number 30. It's crazy to think that the direction that the Powers of Pain took in gimmick changes once they broke up.
That's true. Like a complete change.
Yeah. Like once Barbarian left, he became like almost like he was a member of his island.
Yeah.
And then the Warlord just seemed like you're just regular muscle bound builder. He looked like he could have been a member of Power and Glory.
Oh, ouch.
Let's just say if Hogan, I'm gonna say right now, if Hogan and Flair would have just canceled each other out and eliminated each other in this Rumble, I think Sid probably would have won the title.
Yeah, out of everybody in there.
Mm-hmm. And then
I'd have much rather seen what it was originally supposed to be and seen Hogan and Flair.
You could knowing WWE
that was
now.
Like
if it's WWE now, they'd have had Sid win the title and Hogan would have beat him at WrestleMania for that feel good moment.
But so really by canceling the Hogan and Flair match at WrestleMania 8, that did WCW a huge favor because for Bash at the Beach 94, that was their biggest pay-per-view because up until that time at least, because that had never happened. So you got two of the biggest stars in the company, or not company, but two of the biggest stars in the history of wrestling. Then you can advertise it as the first time they've wrestled each other.
Yep.
Of course, that's going to be the most bought pay-per-view. How is that not what happened at WrestleMania? Maybe they thought they were going to have them both for the following year. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Instead, we get Sid and Hogan. Although you can't really argue that Macho Man and Flair is a bad match.
No. Like I said, the story behind it made the match interesting.
Right.
Then Warlord just, it's hard to not call him Warlord. I'm so used to saying Warlord.
Well, he definitely, like I said, he looks like he could be Wardlow's, like his dad or something.
Yeah.
So cool.
Warlord was the number 30th entrant and got eliminated that quick.
Number 30 spot usually not one that lasts too long, or at least not a favorite.
This is where they had you believing Sid had a chance to win this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he for the next few years he was one of the guys. He was one of the main eventers. I don't remember how many times he was champion. It was a couple times though. But just look at his Final Four. That's crazy.
And then Flair eliminated Macho. Macho really didn't do much after he got beat up by Jake and Undertaker anyway. It was almost like he was just there just to beat him.
He was there to be a one, just to make it to the Final Four, but two, just to basically become a crash test dummy.
They got stuck.
Oh, ouch.
Macho Man could have pulled Flair out right there if he wanted.
See that was a good recovery though.
And that was a great move. And the crowd cheered. Mm-hmm. And here comes Crybaby Hogan. Look, he said, "Hey, hi." He said, "You're a crybaby, boy. Get in the back of the line."
Would you compare that?
Now, this is what I didn't understand.
Sid eliminating Hogan.
This is what I didn't understand. Why Hogan for what?
The WrestleMania match. But yeah,
well, look,
is this not the most?
Helping.
Is that not the most heel thing he could have done?
Hogan, absolutely. It's one. Okay, so it's one thing if Flair would have.
Like, if I can't have the championship, you can't either.
Nah, it was one thing. It was one thing for Hogan to pull his arm, but you can clearly see once Flair got him over, Hogan started grabbing Sid's hair to pull him out the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So at the expense of the man who cost you the title a couple of months before, you gave that man the championship just now.
Welcome to wrestling.
then you mad. How you mad at Flair? You just helped him.
But I couldn't imagine. Like, I mean, just thinking back, if I would have been
I'd be mad
able
too
to
if I
watch
was
this
Sid.
watch this live in 1992, how excited I'd have been.
I would have been mad
If
too as Sid. I mean, if I was Sid, I'd be mad too.
But the significance that this had in wrestling at the time, this long time NWA.
You know what's crazy about this, right? Is that in the 90s, early 90s at this time, you pulled this off. You could have pulled this off where Sid was the heel and Hogan was the face. If this was now, there was no way that Vince could have been able to justify how Hogan would have still been a face and Sid would have been a heel.
Right.
Because Sid would have had a whole interview like, I had this one and Hogan cheated to help eliminate. And
Right.
the crowd would have seen it like, you're right. Like, how can we cheer this guy who cheated to help?
Like I said, it was definitely like a Hogan pulling a heel move. I mean, I don't know.
It was a super heel move. Oh,
Even if he was the baby and Sid being the heel, like you still cheated more or less, right?
he cheated all the way, more or less.
Right.
Like I said, if you pull his arm, that's one thing. But when Rick grabbed his leg, he grabbed Sid's hair and made sure that Sid got over the rope.
Right.
Like even the fans are cheering for Sid.
Yeah, now they are. Well, that's probably as close to like I said, a heel turn.
You know the sad part is, Ric Flair won the title, and at this moment
It's
right
not
now,
even-
it's
it doesn't even
overshadowed.
matter.
Yep.
Right. But the interview that's coming up next is, of course,
Yeah, the interview saved
amazing.
it.
Oh my gosh, as Flair normally did. But again, like I was saying, the historical significance here, even if we rewind back to 1992 and this was all happening right now, the guy that's the face of NWA from basically when it became a national phenomenon all the way until this point is now in the WWE, and he's now the champion. What's that do to? Here's the
One of the most
interview.
iconic championship promos, victory celebrations.
Our president, the distinguished Jack Tunney. Congratulations, Ric Flair, on becoming the undisputed champion of the World Wrestling Federation. Let me just say, after distorting the belt and proclaiming the real world champion, I'm going to tell you, with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one. And this is the only title in the wrestling world that makes you number one. When you are the king of the
Bobby Heenan just gloated back there.
Yeah.
rule the world. Think about it like that, Mr. Perfect. Woo! Let's get a big one.
Of course, I guess the last laugh really goes to WCW when they get Flair back, they get Hogan, they get
Yeah,
everybody that mattered in the WWF,
they had everybody that mattered in that Royal Rumble.
right? And then damn near sunk WWF.
Damn, it's crazy. All four of these guys ended up in WCW.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that really goes to show you why. I mean, why from like 93 to 96 that WWE was struggling so bad, because everybody that was a name for them. I mean, Ric Flair wasn't initially a name for them, but he is here. But goes back to WCW. The new generation was truly a complete rebuild. No wonder they had that couple years of struggling.
Yep.
For my broadcast colleagues, Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby the Brave Heenan, Sean Mooney, me, Gene Okerlund, saying so long from the Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, New York. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's revisit some of the highlights from this year's Royal Rumble.
And that was the 92 Royal Rumble. Is there any closing thoughts you have on this Rumble?
Just that watching it this time, it seems just as special as it did every other time, with the star power that was in it, just nostalgia all over the place, and seeing, like we said, so many people that would later go to WCW, and just knowing the stories of everybody from this point on through the rest of their career. It's nuts to think that many legends and Hall of Famers and whatnot was just in this one match, and only year number 4, so that's still like a new style of match, still a new concept.
Yes, and
at this time it was still this is before you had so many different kind of gimmick matches. The gimmicks were the characters, not the matches.
Yeah, this was a very fun Royal Rumble to go back and look at, because of like we discussed earlier, all the star power in it, all of the Hall of Famers. Rest in peace to the wrestlers that are no longer with us that was in this match. This match had a little bit of everything in terms of wrestlers: the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
The Ric Flair promo at the end is always going to be a classic, iconic one.
Yeah, great way to wrap everything up, because
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as only Flair could do, he could say in that few words, and
the fact that Hogan was a heel at the end further proved his foreshadowing what was to come 4 years later.
Yeah.
Or what was that Bobby Heenan knew all along that we never believed him.
Right.
Yes.
And that's another thing I realized watching this, is how much I miss Heenan. How quick-witted he was, how entertaining he was.
It makes you appreciate it makes you appreciate him and Monsoon as a commentating team. They always was able to feed off of each other and always were able to complement each other's styles. It was a typical it actually was the typical babyface commentator versus the typical heel commentator,
right.
And it worked.
And I mean, I grew up with, for me, from the time I remember, was the Attitude Era, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I really started that. So from the time I was 5-6 years old into the introduction of the Attitude Era through. So of course my go-to as the best commentary team ever is JR and the King.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch this and you realize how well they fed off each other, they're obviously right up there as one of the best.
Exactly. So once all you guys, thank you for tuning in to this first Royal Rumble watch along with myself and Coach Liller. We'll be doing more watch alongs. Any breaking news, we'll probably be dropping breaking news on this page on this channel. If you like it, like and subscribe to the Wrestling Never Sleeps page on YouTube, on IG, Facebook, wherever you can find it, on Twitter. And definitely give us your feedback. We'll take great criticisms. We tell us what we did wrong, what we did right, everything. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in. This is myself, Mr. H, and Coach Lilla, and have a good night, y'all. We out.
Peace.
Man.